I was remarkably unathletic as a kid. I didn't play any team sports, I didn't play any individual sports, I didn't even play Atari sports. The only award I ever got at field day was for the shoe kick, which is literally kicking off your shoes, and I got third. We participated in the Presidential Fitness Awards. I don't think they have Presidential Fitness Awards with this president, but we did, and they would count how many pull-ups you could do, and if you couldn't do any pull-ups, they would hoist you up and see how many seconds you could hang in the bent arm hang. But they let me do a straight arm hang, plus I was also fairly tall and I could touch the ground with my toes. When I dislocated my knee and the doctor said, oh, it's a very common injury for a high school athlete, my own mother laughed out loud. I was really, really not good at sports, but that didn't mean I wasn't fiercely competitive, judges. I channeled this need to win into my grade point average. I was determined to graduate high school with a perfect 4.0, straight A's, class rank #1, because that is how you win high school in my book. This is where the two things you now know about my childhood and my adolescence come crashing together with potentially tragic consequences, because we were required to take 1 semester of gym. Now when kids take high school gym, they can do it online, and as long as you keep the arm with the Fitbit moving while you play Fortnite, you can rack up enough steps to get an A. But in my school, there were actual teachers judging you on your athleticism and your mastery of skills like putting a ball through a hoop, or not getting smacked in the face with a ball, or smacking someone else in the face with a ball. If you say to a high school gym teacher, why should I be graded on this stupid stuff? They will say to you, why should student achievement only be measured in the things you happen to be good at? Which is fair, but there was no possible way I was going to get an A in gym, so I put it off as long as I possibly could. And I wrote letters to the superintendent suggesting that they eliminate the physical education department so I could take something that would be easier for me to get an A in, like nuclear physics or something. But eventually my time came. Mr. Holland was a former wrestler, and he had those kind of mangled ears you get when the cartilage has been ruptured too many times, like corn fritters. I think they call it corn fritter ears. And I think that's why he couldn't hear me when I told him I had a stomach ache every day the first week of class. He made us run the entire perimeter of the field, which was 3/4 of a mile. I don't know if they did anything else, because it took me the whole class period to run the 3/4 of a mile, and then I was late to math. And I knew it was going to get worse, because the next week we were starting swimming, and what Mr. Holland would do for swimming is that he'd watch your dive, yell out a letter grade when you hit the water, and the rest of the class announce your grade when you emerged for air. Like the ultimate humiliation for me. So I tried all weekend to break my arm, except I couldn't hit anything hard enough because I wasn't that strong. But when I went to school again on Monday, we had a substitute teacher. And Mr. Holland hadn't left instructions about swimming, so he let us play big base, which is the same thing as kickball, but instead of bases, they put out big gymnastics mats. So as many people as you wanted could just be on a base, which was the best case scenario for me. If I could make it to first base one time, I could just camp out until the bell rang. So that was good. Next day, same thing. Next day, big base again. I was really getting lucky. And then they told us that Mr. Holland had had a massive heart attack, and they didn't know when he was coming back. So I was really, really lucky. I mean, you have to, if you wanted a nice story, you should have picked a different theme. I mean, you should just try to see this from my perspective, because every day he was in intensive care was one more day that I was class rank #1. So this went on for weeks and weeks. more and more big bass. And I was kind of making me crazy that I didn't know how they were going to do the grading because all that was in the book was my 45-minute mile. But he came back a couple days before the end of the semester, and I was worried he was going to make us do all the rest of the stuff. But he looked a little bit worn out. And he said he didn't get any information from the sub about what we'd done all semester, just a note that said, remind students not to lie down during big bass. And instead, what he did was he called us up individually and said this, what grade do you think you should get in gym? And that is how I won high school.